And I think you said it in your last few statements that we have catching up to do, and people don't realize that. You know, the Department of Defense recently completed its nuclear posture review, and the administration's defense strategy and nuclear posture, they both highlight the acute threat that China and Russia are to us as peer competitors. Now, we're not used to that in America, but they are. And we just got back from the South China Sea, and we saw what they're doing with reclaiming land down there, and they are in the driver's seat in many parts, and people question, is it China or the United States are going to have who we should be partners with? Secretary Mattis put it the best way. He said, we look reality in the eye as the world sees us as it is, not as we wish it were. And that fits in with what the National Defense Strategy, because nuclear weapons are an unavoidable part of our return of great power competition, whether we like that or not. So we're talking about China and Russia in this part of our review. And I would just first ask you, and just get this out of the way, do you support the recommendations of the nuclear posture review? Just yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good, and I agree. And I want you to elaborate on that only if there's time, because I have two other questions I need to get out of the way first. Both China and Russia have robust nuclear arsenal and a triad. Now, we're talking about missiles and the bombers and submarines. In 2018, the Nuclear Posture Review recommends the development and procurement of low-yield warhead for a submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Now, this has become controversial. I know there's honest difference of opinion at this table on this, and sometimes we talk about, well, we do have it now. We only have it with bombs. And so that would assume then a B-52 could get through, which I'm not ready to assume. So the recommendation is to have this capability, and with the idea that if we ever got into something with Russia and they have a low yield and we don't, it might put us in a position of having to respond with something that we would not want to start that could lead to mutual assured destruction. So I would just ask you, Secretary Perry, how does the NNSA plan to provide this capability?
Yes, sir. Senator, I will try to be very brief in this answer. This program will be a modification of the W-76 warhead using the existing components that we have. And I respect the arguments on both sides of this, but I will say from my perspective is that I think it's necessary for us to go forward with this program to achieve our tailored deterrence objective. I don't think this raises the threshold for use of nuclear weapons. I think it will deter others, which is exactly, from my perspective, the role that we should have. And we're working with DOE on the specific requirements, and obviously we'll work with the OMB and this committee going forward for the necessary authorization to begin the engineering and production side of that.
Okay, and I think also people need to understand when they talk about low yield, we're talking about up to 10 kilotons. Hiroshima was 15 kilotons, so we're talking about a lot of power, a lot of destructive power. Back when they were putting together the deal, John Kerry was with the Iran deal, I was opposed to that all the way through, but the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was established to ensure that Iran's nuclear program would be exclusively peaceful. And I think a lot of people are walking around now believing that they want to have their enrichment program. They don't want to use that as weapons, but for energy, for peaceful reasons. Now, let's assume that they're right on that, which I don't think they are. The most significant flaws in this agreement is they have the sunset provisions, or they ease after a period of years. And other flaws is that it doesn't apply to ballistic missiles or terrorism activities. So in the short time that we have here, Secretary Perry, how can the United States mitigate proliferation potential in Iran after these provisions expire, if they go beyond the expiration date?
Yes, sir. Senator, I support the President's desire to put America in a stronger position relative to this agreement. My role, the Department of Energy's role, is in a technical position. We're really not in the policy side of it. We will respect what you, this committee, Congress, and the President working together does relative to that.
Thank you very much. Senator Reed.